Yo. Oh. Welcome back to Basically Kengan, where I do my basically overview type videos, but for Kengan. So we did the round one, guys, you know, everyone's gotta start somewhere, and we knocked out the avatar of Indra, the Burger King himself, Kono Haruo, and now it's time to cover his first round better half, the man with the dirty hairy plan, the one, the only, the executioner, Akoya Seishu. Akoya Seishu, known as the Executioner, is a 33-year-old police inspector and vigilante that fights in the underground Kengan matches for the Wakasa Life Insurance Company. Pretty ironic choice of sponsor, seeing as everyone who comes into contact with this guy usually drops dead. He was born on April 4th and is 6'3" and 251 pounds, pretty hulking for a Japanese man, and he practices Taiho-Jutsu, the martial art that police officers in Japan practice that comprises of unarmed striking and grappling made up of jujutsu techniques, and armed defense made up of kenjutsu techniques, all modified for the express purpose of arresting a combatant as quickly and effectively as possible, with as little risk to all involved parties as possible. Which is not really what we see in his style. But I guess Akoya's not really concerned with minor things like the preservation of life. Apparently, Akoya's brutal twist on this largely non-lethal art is effective, as homie's got over 42 confirmed wins, and only a single loss by the King of Stranglers, Imai Cosmo, someone strong enough to go toe-to-toe with the Ashura, Tokita Oma. Akoya's almost as big a moneymaker as the man who puts the ass in assets, as Akoya has executed up to 191 million yen in assets for his punching bag waifu. Now, I'm sorry to all the ladies. Yeah, right. Forgot about that. Anyway, because while this man is taken, he's certainly one that can do both. His day job is as the captain of the 44th Riot Squad, hence his familiarity with a riot shield and baton. His night job is as the affiliated fighter of the Wakatsuki Life Insurance Company, being good enough to get scouted as a fighter against Purgatory 2 years after the Kengan Annihilation Tournament. Quite the side hustle, if you ask me. And his hobby is prowling the streets as a ruthless, justice-loving vigilante that has a very interesting idea of justice that involves maximum murder. As a matter of fact, jokes aside, Akoya will legitimately kill a person for any perceived evil. His violent brand of justice can be seen throughout his time before the Kengan Annihilation Tournament, and even 2 years after, brutalizing, torturing, and killing his foes, and even some bystanders, for next to nothing. The only people he's willing to let live are allies that can further his goals, people that, if he killed, would likely derail the continued efforts for justice, and himself for obvious reasons. But all of these people, himself included, are only on a delayed list, with him destined to kill them all for their sins eventually. To give a quick overview of his role in the series, he first became a Kengan fighter when he saved Hayami Shunka, the CEO of Wakasa Life Insurance, from her serial killer cousin boyfriend. Yeah, not gonna get into that can of worms. Well, he's basically like, I'm gonna kill everyone cause they're all evil, then I'm gonna kill you, and then myself cause justice. But you and me gonna die last cause I got a justice and you gotta give me money and a place to murder with no repercussions and maybe a little booty. And she was down for it. Hiyama basically uses her amazing analytical predictive abilities to somewhat tame Akoya. So long as she predicts the opponent's moves, he can just follow her instructions and win. But if she can't and things get hairy, they get dirty hairy, and Akoya begins to fight in his normally brutal fashion. We see this when Haruo turns back into Haru in their first round fight, and almost gets fucking killed because Hayami couldn't account for the change, only surviving because his big ol' fat boy knee gave out on him. After some domestic abuse and a totally healthy relationship, we get to see some twink torture porn as Akoya has the fight of his life against Cosmo in one of the most brutal fights in the entire series, featuring underhanded tactics such as Akoya gouging his fingers into Cosmo's flesh, Akoya biting Cosmo's flesh off, and Akoya even torturing Cosmo with repeated strikes to the ribs, striking nerve clusters and breaking ribs, pinning him down and not allowing him to forfeit all the while. Shit is fucked up. Then he proceeds to murder the fuck out of a bunch of guardians alongside the Cake King himself, Kano Agito. About 2 years later, we see that he's still up to his old shenanigans after almost murdering Gozo and putting him in a coma, which is no longer an okay thing to do, at least by Kengan standards, so he got hit by the Kengan banhammer. Then he begins to develop a tsundere crush on Gao, a new guy in Omega who, also murders people. Don't worry, he'll get his own video eventually. Anyway, Akoya attempts to do to him what he does to everyone he loves, and hates, and just like everyone in general, he tries to kill Gao in a Kengan match. Crazy how they just keep letting this guy fight! Akoya pretty much bodies Gao until Gao almost tries to kill him in return, and while Akoya wins and almost gets another suspension for putting Gao in a coma, he has confirmed that Gao is, quote, best friend material. As a member of the anti-Purg team, he basically causes problems the whole time, and his fight with fellow Patrick Bateman fan Nicholas LeBanner ends up devolving into both being shit-stomped by local wife-beater Roland Lo Long Manlet of Manila Donaire, who is unstoppable due to bringing up the rear. That's pretty much it for him other than creating a Justice League of himself, Kiryu Setsuna, and Gao Ryuki, where a barely alive Lu Tien stomps his ass despite wearing full riot gear and using an actual weapon. Rip Justice enjoyers. To go ahead and wrap this up, we'll talk about a special power of his and his techniques. Akoya has a reaction speed of around 74 milliseconds, allowing for him to use his Taiho-Jutsu to become a master of defense. His reaction speed, second fastest in the verse right behind his purgatory opponent Nicholas LeBanner, allows for him to overcome the likes of Cosmo's Zone while also allowing him to follow Hayami's split-second instructions. As for his techniques, we have his signature shield, where Akoya uses his forearm as a riot shield, which is strong enough to block some fucking powerful blows. Ripper, where Akoya Sikorskis his opponent, using the friction caused by spinning his wrist around while touching his knuckles to an opponent's skin to tear their skin, causing minor bleeding and major irritation. And finally, his trademark Taiho-Jutsu Stance of Suppression, a stance tailor-made to capitalize on Hayami's commands, modified from Kano's own stance. Alright, that's all for this Justice extravaganza. Be sure to leave a like on the video. If we can get 30 likes in a week, you guys get the next Basically Kengan right away. The plan for if we meet the goal is to jump right onto my favorite character in the entire series, the Vicar of Extermination, Mokichi Robinson. But if you guys want to see a different character, let me know in the comments down below. What'd you guys think of the video? Was it a good overview? Are you guys Justice enjoyers? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell to know when uploads drop. Thank you all for watching. I've been the YouTube Machine Made Man, and this has been Basically Akoya Seishu. Peace.